Hello, good morning and welcome to Confetti Industry Week 2022, the final day of this year's Industry Week. This is the Do It For Real music panel and I'm Alison Whitlock. Welcome this morning. Before we get going with today's session, I've just got a couple of little bits of script to read to you. So basically, it's just to remind you that as part of Industry Week, we're running a photo competition this week where you can win some cool prizes, which I think are Amazon vouchers. All you need to do is tag Confetti on Twitter or Instagram using hashtag IW22, sharing your experiences throughout the week. If you're currently in your final year of an undergraduate course, it's worth noting that the NTU employability team are offering some extra careers coaching session appointments next week to help you get ready for your next steps. So look on the employability learning room for further details of how to sign up. So let's crack on with today's session. Do It For Real panel sessions are all about celebrating our graduates' career success. So to kick off proceedings, I'm going to introduce our guests to you this morning. We've got a great lineup of three great graduates. So we'll come to each of them in turn. We're going to spend a bit of time talking to them about their time at Confetti, more crucially, what they did after Confetti. And you're going to have an opportunity to ask them all of the questions that you want to. So if you want to ask them anything, we'll leave it until a little bit later on in the session. Put your questions in chat and my dear colleague John Meredith, sitting to my left, will be sending those questions to me on my WhatsApp chat. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce a guest to you this morning. I'll let them do that. So I'll ask each of you what your name is, what you studied at Confetti and when, and what you're doing now. And that goes to Gav first, please. Oh, turn your mic on.
There we go. Hello, can you hear me?
There we are.
Yeah, so good morning everyone. My name's Gavin. I studied music tech at Confetti from 2009 to 2014. And I had the crazy idea of starting my own company up in 2017 in Arb Covers.
Thank you. Good morning. Welcome, Gav.
Yeah.
And next I'm going to go to Gadil.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
So yeah, my name's Gads, or Gadil. I did a music performance from 2018 to 2021, so like recently graduated last year. And now I do like session music, do like instrumentals for like TV adverts and film trailers, like the recent James Bond one on Sky.
Wow.
Ooh la la.
Yeah, so like that's basically what I do.
Well, we'll be talking to you soon and finding out more about all of that. That sounds great. Welcome, Gadil. And finally, last but definitely not least, Luke.
Hello, everyone. I'm Luke Gentry. I studied an FDSC in music tech. I can't remember when. I think it was 11 years ago. Since then, I've been working as a sound designer in film and TV.
Welcome this morning. Welcome to you all. So I'm going to start proceedings with some questions about your time at Confetti. So what made you apply to Confetti then? I'll come to Luke first. Why did you apply?
I was one of those people that obviously wanted to be a DJ when I was 14, 15, 16 and wasn't very good at it. So went to Confetti because they were doing DJ courses at that time. I don't know whether you still do them, but so that got me in the door at Confetti. And then they were like, oh, we also have courses where you can make music. And I was like, oh, making music, that could be cool. Sort of fell into that bit and loved it and did I did a BTech, and then that sort of progressed into the foundation degree. And yeah, that was my way in.
Awesome. Gadil, what about you? Why did you go to Confetti?
I was a little bit weird actually. So I came to uni doing computer science at first. For like the first 2 weeks, like a week or two. And then I just thought it wasn't for me. Like I've always been doing music, like growing up in church and like just playing like a little few things here and there. But yeah, and then I saw the course at Confetti, music performance course. And it just looked like something I'd enjoy doing. Like, so yeah, it was, for me, it was more of an enjoyment thing as well. Like from turning a hobby into something like a job. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, and what about you, Gav?
I'm just thinking about it now, actually. So a friend of mine who's a DJ and producer, he did a night school for Logic Pro. This is years ago, and he told me about it, and I sort of kept it on the back burner. And then at the age of 30, I got made redundant, and I was DJing from, a bit like Luke, I was DJing from 14 onwards. And I thought, if I'm going to take it to the next level regarding DJing, I need to be a producer, because that's what the transition over was, the DJ to producer. And I came on an open day, and I took my redundancy, and that was it, really. I came for an open day, and I just knew straight away. I knew straight away it was for me.
So you're a mature student?
Yeah, I came back at the age of 30. So 30, and then obviously I left at 35. So, I mean, that was quite hard, but also I appreciated that I didn't really enjoy school when I was 16 back in it. And when I went back there, I really took it serious. And it meant a lot to me to sort of prove that, one, I could do it, and two, and when I got my my degree and I walked out de Montfort with the cape and all that, it was like a big point for me.
Sure.
Just to say that I'd done it, because I come from a very working background, so it was that sort of like, you know, achievement to myself.
Massive.
And I made loads of new friends as well. That's the best thing about it. I loved it.
And have those people remained your friends?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm very good friends with Mark, who obviously is the tutor there.
Yeah.
I speak daily to ex friends from university that are obviously living around the world, and I try, some of the friends that I've made, I try and get them involved with the covers to do the company as well, because they know how much it means to me.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Great answers. So how did Confetti support your career decisions during your studies and directly afterwards? Gav, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of changed. It's one of them ones I've been thinking about it. I came to Confetti with what I wanted, and I left with what I needed, if that makes sense. I wanted to come and be the producer and DJ, and slowly but surely, it just sort of, I got into mixing more than anything. I love mixing, the idea of mix, a bit like a DJ, but working with stems. And I thought mixing, and the stuff that at Confetti back, right, so about nearly 10 years ago, I came to an open day a couple of months ago, and what you've got now is next level. It's amazing. I mean, I came down to that studio, and I was like, this is the best, really. And I've always had a soft spot. I think, you know, I've always had a soft spot for Confetti, and I always tell people, praise people, say Confetti. Even if I've met people that are from Nottingham, and I said,
Oh dear.
I've said.
He said, Gav's frozen. Gav's completely frozen. So we'll find out what he said shortly, and I'll ask the same question to Gadil now, which was, just to remind you, Gadil, how did Confetti support your career decisions during your studies and directly afterwards? And we hope that Gav will come back to us soon.
Confetti, I feel like I said, me doing computer science at first, like I kind of just went into it with an open mind. Like I didn't do much music like professionally before, so like teachers helped me a lot with like simple things like learning how to use a DAW, like Logic, or like structuring a song, or like songwriting, or even like learning how to network and work with people in music, that kind of thing. And yeah, that's helped me like loads, even after uni as well. Just reaching out to people, like doing stuff together. I use Logic like almost every day now, kind of thing. Just
yeah. So it exposed you to stuff that you didn't realise that you didn't know, really.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. Luke, what about you? I think Gav's completely gone, but hopefully we'll get him back shortly. So, yeah, how did Confetti support your career decisions during your studies and directly after?
For me, I knew I wanted to do something in sort of the creative media world. I thought it was going to be sort of making tunes and stuff, but I didn't really know. But I was learning so much that I didn't really care. And then we did a small course on putting sound for moving image, or sound for picture. And it just blew my mind. Like I was like, people put sound to film. Like it hadn't really been something that I thought about before, which sounds a bit stupid, but like the Foley and all the sound effects and the sound design and all that sort of stuff. We had to build it all up from the ground, and I just fell down that rabbit hole. So I'd say it basically sculpted where I wanted to go just by opening that door. Do you know what I mean? So I think the course was so good in that it just went, look, these are all the things that you can do in this industry. It could be acoustics, it could be making tunes, it could be mixing, it could be engineering. Also there's sound for film, and it was just like, it just clicked for me. So yeah, eternally grateful for that, really. Yeah.
I'm really hoping that we will be able to get Gav back. I don't know if anyone can get in touch with him on our behalf, please. But yeah, hopefully we'll see Gav come back soon. In the meantime, I just want to ask you, so what do you think the most valuable thing is that you learn at Confetti? And that's to Gadil.
Oh,
There's one thing.
one thing. Just to touch on what he said, what Luke said before, like just being exposed to a lot of things. And I think that one thing I kind of dabbled on my second year, I think, was like right into picture and film. That just like kind of really interested me. So I feel like that's one thing I took away by myself, and I just kind of went more in depth with. And that's like basically what I'm doing now, like writing to briefs and stuff. I think that's the most important thing, like learning how to write to briefs and just understanding what emotion to put in your song and stuff, like, yeah.
What about you, Luke?
I'd say Confetti has like a culture, or it did at the time, of just encouraging like hunger, like wanting to really go out and get it. Like I remember turning up for the first sort of induction, and my parents were there, and my dad asked a very dad question, and that was like, is he going to get a job after this? Like, what is this music tech stuff? And someone was like, well, he'll get out what he puts in. There's loads of people that can come on this course and glide through and won't make it. Like, you need to do the course and then be booking studios and be speaking to local engineers and going to do live sound and just getting your fingers in loads of pies, basically. And so that hunger was instilled. It was like, you can't just turn up and do the coursework and get a distinction. Like, good for you, but you need to be doing extracurricular stuff as well. And I think that sort of stayed with me, that there's always something else to learn. There's always someone else to talk to. There's always more that can be done. And so, yeah, I would say that was the biggest thing that I've taken away from like Confetti and its culture.
Cool, thank you. So what's your best memory of Confetti then? I'll ask Gadil. What's your best memory?
Best memory of Confetti. I feel like there was a show that we did. I think it was at the end of my second year, where they got a couple of students together to play. What was it again? It was like an award show, and I played at that. I think it's John Merritt. John asked me to play on that actually as well.
Is that right, John?
It's great. Yeah.
It's great, he says.
Yeah, I love that. Actually, I really like that, man. Like just working with an MD and that stuff, just performing. Like I said, I didn't do much before uni, so yeah, I was grateful for that.
That's awesome. It seems that Gav's back with us. He's
Hello.
a slight change of location. Brilliant.
Yeah.
We're just talking about our best memories of Confetti. And so while you just warm up, get back in the zone, I'll ask Luke what his best memory was.
When the many years ago that I was there, Confetti had connections with a guy called Andy, I think, who worked at the BBC, who did like all their live
Andy
sound
Rogers.
stuff.
Yeah.
Andy
Rogers.
Yes, and he was an absolute legend. And he came and gave us a really cool talk. And
He was in yesterday. He was in yesterday doing
he's
a
like
talk.
the nicest human in the world. But not only that, like I could contact him afterwards and go, hey, can I come and see you in London? And he was like, yeah, just come down. And so we went down and did like a live lounge. In fact, I did 2 live lounges with him, and we just sat in the studio just watching it all unfold. And like that day we didn't know who was turning up, and it was Eminem and The Alchemist. And I was just like, you know, I was learning music tech. I thought I could make fat beats, but here were these like kings of the hip hop industry, and this super nice small Andy guy who was just letting me get in amongst it. And so that was like properly amazing. So yeah, I'm yeah.
That's a cool memory. That's so Confetti as well. Actually, it's so Confetti. Gav, thanks for getting back on board. Loving seeing your dog.
Yeah, I got two. George, you want? That's George. And this is Bobby. Look at him, look at him.
Oh my goodness! Oh, that's beautiful. This is the first Do It For Real panel we've had with some pets, showing how pets. Yeah. What's your best memory of Confetti, Gav?
You know what? The first thing I love is Industry Week. I really loved it. I actually maxed it out. I went to loads of things just to listen to people's stories, you know. I sort of got inspiration of like, you know, these people have got backgrounds and they started at one place and they're working at a different place. And I just thought the journey was interesting, inspirational. And I love Industry Week, I really do. And to be asked and to do this, it was sort of like, I was there like 10 years ago, you know what I mean? It was sort of like, I wanted to say to people, look, you know, I was exactly like you. I was sat there with loads of ideas, and it sort of, the path took its own way. So, you know, it's Industry Week for me. But also the equipment. I wanted to sort of say, many people probably learn in the box, and to work out the box and have a patch bay and set up amps and stuff like that. That's something I've never done before. You know, you just get a laptop with Logic, you put your headphones on, that's it. But to work with artists coming in, set up mics, drum mics, use the reverb in the hall and stuff like that. It's sort of like something I didn't expect going in as a DJ, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you think your time at Confetti's helped you get a foot in the door with the work that you do now? And that's to Gav. I'll ask you all, but, you know, has that helped?
I think so. I don't know if it's got me a foot in the door, but it's given me confidence. So I work, I mean, obviously with the cover business, I go in quotes and size up jobs basically. Like I can go into any studio and have a bit of a geek with the person who's there. Oh, you got that compressor, you got that desk, how'd you find that mic and blah, blah, blah. So I think the confidence of walking into a studio knowing and not going in just going, I'm here just to measure this and that's it. Have a good conversation. Big on that. And I think it just built confidence, which like I say, as a DJ, you just play music, but with mixing, mastering, working with artists, producer, and all that, it's just gave me more confidence going to studios all around the world as well.
Brilliant. Good deal. What about you? Has Confetti helped you get a foot in the door?
I'd say 100%. Like,
yeah,
I've really recently only just graduated, but like, for me, it's the people that I met, and like I said, like learning how to use like DAWs and stuff, but especially the people that I met, like. Yeah, they felt me massively, man.
What is that? Has that led on to work for you?
Oh yeah, 100%. Everything I do is like kind of like knowing the right people that will get me the opportunity or put me onto someone else. Yeah, for example, my third year I had a mentor. He was called Ben Checker. So I did something with him, and then he helped me get like my Sky placements and stuff. Tom Smith is with you today, actually. Like stuff like that is just like knowing the right people and making sure you stay in contact with them.
So you've touched on something which has cropped up in all of these Do It For Real panels, and it does every year. I'm going to use it. It's the N word. It's networking, and it's the chatting to people. And I know that many of us don't necessarily have a natural confidence with networking. But what it actually is it's just chatting to people, isn't it? Actually.
Yeah, I've definitely had to build it up over time. Like when I first came, I was a bit, I don't know how to explain it. Like I wasn't confident in what I do. Does that make sense? But then over time, just like talking to people and like them liking what I do, it's just gave me confidence to actually network and just talk to people. Really.
What changed? What was it during your time at Confetti that it was just like continually practicing talking to people that helped, do you think?
Yeah, I guess continually practicing, but also them just giving me confidence. When I did talk to people, it's like just having the confidence that I'm doing something right, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like praising your work and stuff. So
you're getting the feedback, it's good, it's positive, and it builds, doesn't it? It's like a snowball effect, a positive snowball effect, yeah?
100%, yeah.
Luke, what about you? Do you feel Confetti help you get a foot in the door?
Yeah, like in a myriad of ways. But more directly, my course teacher at the time, Lewis Harvey, I don't think he's there anymore.
Yeah. He's not, but I do remember him, yeah.
Just the top bloke. Well, I was actually working for Confetti part-time after finishing the course, like teaching a couple of classes and stuff like that. And so I was in touch with him every day, and he was like, "Oh, you want to do sound for film, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." So this bulletin's just come through on some forum that he was a part of. It was like Pinewood Studios are looking for an intern, basically. And I was like, "Oh, that's right on my street." And so I applied and I got the placement. So yeah, Lewis literally gave me that. I wouldn't have known it existed. So very grateful to Lewis and Confetti for that.
Do you know what? Right, we're moving seamlessly with that answer into the next part of this, which is what happened after you graduated. You know, what happened next? How many jobs did you apply for? Did you even apply for jobs? How do you cope with rejection? All that kind of stuff. So, Luke, I'm going to come straight back to you.
Yeah.
You got a placement at Pinewood, which was like one of the top, I would say, globally recognised studios for film and television.
Yeah, it was
How did that
unbelievable.
work?
Well, like I say, Lewis gave me the connection, and there was a big application process. So I had to fill out this huge application and then pass a couple more tests and calls online, and then calls and stuff like that. Then I got down to the selection process, which I had to get to Pinewood. I think there was like 600 people applied,
Wow.
and luckily I was the one that got the. Hey mate, how you doing? I was the one that got the job. Well, there was actually 2 sound placements, me and a guy called Tim, who I still work with a lot. So very lucky, and I think it was luck. I think all my Confetti stuff helped. I did loads of extracurricular stuff, like Game City and some like live sound stuff at rescue rooms, and loads and loads of bits that they were interested in seeing. Because I think it shows that you've got like that fire, that hunger that I was telling you about, and I think that really helped. But like a couple of years ago, the guy who gave me the job, I caught up with him for a beer, and he said the only reason why I got the job and not the other 600 was on the day someone spilt a pint of milk, and I was the only one that got up and cleaned it up with him. And he was like, he thought, yeah, you'll do. So it goes. It's pretty fickle how I got the job. So yeah, no crying over spilt milk, I guess. But
nice. No,
Very nicely done.
That's
Very
unscripted.
nicely
It's
done.
all just coming off the. So yeah, that was me.
Wow, I'm sure there must have been something else other than the fact that you leapt up and cleared up. But it's the attitude you demonstrated. You were prepared to get down and do that, which is really interesting, isn't it? Wow. So Pinewood, basically, how long was that placement again?
So it was a year's placement across Pinewood and Shepperton Studios, because they're both in the same group.
Yeah.
And it was like did a bit of mixing. I say a bit. You just get an experience. You sat in the room. Essentially, a lot of it was running, which is basically just making tea and coffee for people, running around, fetching lunches. That was 6 months of doing that, because that's just the way in. It's a pretty old school way, but it works. It sort of resets everything, and you learn the culture of where you are slowly. And there's a lot of people that have got like a degree in music technology or sound design who think that they can just jump straight in, but the reality is you can have a degree, you can have 2 degrees, you can have a master's degree. Like Tim had a master's and he was still making tea with me. So you have to start from the ground up anyway. I
think really you do have to regulate your expectation when you graduate, because you think, I've got all of these technical skills under my belt. They're going to it's a given. Yeah. I'm brilliant. I know I'm all right. I know I can do it. But you have to prove yourself again and again and again. And you have to prove yourself with the small stuff before you will start to begin to be trusted with the bigger stuff and given more responsibility, I think. That certainly was my experience when I graduated. Good deal. Can you tell us what happened to you when you graduated?
So after I graduated, the first thing I did was I emailed so many studios.
Right.
So many companies, seeing if I can I didn't really do a normal web application, that kind of thing. I just kind of sent them my portfolio and just see if they wanted to work with me, kind of thing. And so everything I built, from Confetti, producing for people, the shows I did, the people I worked with in sessions, I just emailed a load of people, man. Must have emailed about 50 companies, and 2 of them must have got back to me or something.
Really? So that was the kind of ratio you were looking at?
Yeah.
50 emails, 50 put it out there, 2 back. And what did the two say when they came back?
Well, the 2 that actually got back to me was two people that knew me. Do you get what I mean? Everyone else is they're just random studios that I've never been to or stuff. I emailed Mount Street as well, actually, and Tom got back to me. So yeah, I've been there. I've been doing some stuff there. I did my own sessions there as well, actually. What else did I do? I worked with Sky. Some things with them.
Talk us through that a little bit. Tell us more. Let's give me some detail, Gadil. Give me some detail. What happened with the Sky thing?
I got into it through Trekker, actually. Ben, he was my mentor in my final year. he was doing a workshop where there's a lady called Jamie from Sky who does like all the placements and stuff. I think she was the production, like she was head of production or something like that. And I sent her my stuff. So over lockdown, I wrote a load of stuff. I'm sure we're going to talk about lockdown later. Because there wasn't many performance stuff like gigs. I just started writing like a load of like for library music, load of albums, load of big trailer music. And then that workshop came along and I sent her my stuff. She was like, this is great. Like, I love this. So she like kind of took the whole album that I wrote. And then just because I've like talked to her on Zoom and stuff, like I said, there's a networking thing. I'm sure she gets loads of emails, but I kind of email because I called on FaceTime kind of thing, just a face-to-face thing. Do you get what I mean? Well, not exactly, but do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like that, like I kind of stuck in her head, if that makes sense. And then, yeah, she just decided to give me like a load of opportunities out of nowhere. So
you personalised the process. You showed willing, and you persevered basically, and you built up in the hardest of times during lockdown, where nobody could go anywhere or do anything. You made the most of the technology where you could actually still interact.
100%.
She was impressed by that, yeah.
Yeah, well, it looks like she was, yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah. Also, yeah, everything just kind of worked out quite nicely. Still doing some like briefs for them.
What?
Other companies as well. Yeah.
So what stuff? So Gav, I think you're having problems with the internet this morning, aren't you? Is it your dogs?
No, it's not the dogs. I'm literally looking at the Sky router.
Oh.
The internet is going off and on, which is a nightmare because it's normally sound. So today is a nightmare day.
That pesky internet.
Internet, yeah.
It's the enabler, and it's the stuff of nightmares at times, isn't it?
You know what, Alison? I'll have to come in and do a proper speech on the next year's Industry Week.
That's what we'll have to do, won't we? We'll have to get you in. But Gav, in the meantime, can you briefly talk us through? Let's hope it doesn't freeze. What happened after you graduated? Bullet points.
I'll speak really quick. So when I finished Confetti, I worked with Mark in the DJ suite and done some teaching with him, which I really enjoyed. I got my teacher's qualification. And then I applied for so many jobs. It's crazy. I applied for loads of jobs. And I don't want to feel like my age was a disadvantage, but I don't think 35 I could just walk into. Like Luke said, I'm happy to make the tea and do the running around and earn my stripes, you know. I think build up confidence and team that. And then I had the crazy idea of moving to San Francisco, which I did. And I lived there for just over 2 years. So I went and lived in the San Francisco city centre and DJ'd around the Bay Area, and I worked at a company called Paramind, which was more production based. So I lived there in the California sun, and I loved it.
Amazing.
What made you come back?
Well, the reason is I couldn't get a visa. I couldn't actually apply for a green card. I wanted to, and I planned, and I sold everything to go and live there full time and start a new life in California. And it was just because since the 9/11, it was a lot more hardcore getting a visa, green card. So I came back and then I picked myself up and started my company. But I still have friends there now, man. I got some really good friends in California, and I can go back there now tomorrow. And I love the place. It's just it's a great place to live.
I just want to touch on what you do, Gav, what your company is, because it took me a little while to get my head around it, because it did, basically. But yeah, how did that come about? How did ARB covers? Is it ARB covers?
It's funny, actually. A lot of people say ARB. It is actually ARB covers, but ARB, ARB covers.
Okay, all right, there we are.
So it started off me working abroad. I worked at exhibition shows in Holland for weeks on time. And my studio, I'll come back to my studio after like 2 weeks working away abroad, and it'd be just full of dust. So the concept of making my own covers for my own equipment came. And then it's literally, you know, when people say the light bulb moment, and it was a light bulb moment. And I thought, well, if I make covers for this, and Mark Pearson as well, I said, what do you reckon to this? Do you want some covers? He's like, yeah, that sounds good. I know some people. And like we were saying off camera, the world of social media, I was just getting in touch with people saying, would you like some covers? A lot of people go, yeah, man, that's cool. A lot of people say, no, I don't see the fact of it. And then some people actually think that they will mix with the covers on. But I'm like, it doesn't work like. I mean, you'll be really muddy mix, you know. You'll have to really boost it. There's no plugin in the world that can Isotope couldn't even make anything that would boost that. And it started from there, and it snowballed into the company now is 5 years ago. So I build up relationships with like Adam, Vocal, Key, Quested. I'm doing some stuff with PMC in the minute, so it's building up like a database of like clients as well. Mm-hmm. But the social media, you got to work to your advantage because, like say, a lot of people on their Instagram and stuff like that, you can just follow people. You know what I mean? I follow the first superstar producer in my eyes was Mark Hill. So Mark Hill is the original Dojo Craig Davis 7 Days producer. He had the same speakers that I got. And I said, would you be interested? He was like, yeah, man, sound. And obviously, you know, he was the first person. I was like, wow, man, this could run. So he said, yeah, no problem. I'll have them. And we're still good friends now. So it all came on by saying, do you want some free covers? So basically, the stop dust, but also people have brought them for transportation because some people chuck the boxes away, which is a bit weird, but people do that. So people transport to a studio, they put the covers on and they put them in the back of the car.
Right. Brilliant stuff. I want to talk a little bit about any kind of like rejections you've had, how you persevere through the down times, because obviously we're starting to come out of a pandemic now, we're coming out of the COVID pandemic. And, you know, have there ever been any times where you've felt really down, or you've had quite a lot of job rejections or anything like that? And how do you deal with that? I'll ask that question to Luke first.
After I finished at Pinewood on the traineeship, there's a foreign version department at Shepperton Studios for Disney. So basically they dub all the Disney movies into 25 different languages. So I got a job there because they needed work doing and it was well paid, but it wasn't very creative. You basically just watched Pocahontas in Japanese and then Tron in German. It was very strange, but I did that whilst I was trying to like email people and get back into the real stuff. But that went on for 2 years. I was there for 2 years and it was only supposed to be a stopgap, and it just got like more and more depressing listening to Pocahontas in Japanese. So I eventually just got really desperate and just sort of reached out to a like the biggest sound designer in the country called Jimmy Boyle, and I just emailed him and was just like, look, I'm losing the will to live at Shepperton. Like I've emailed so many people, I've had so much rejection. Prior to emailing him, I'd actually gone for an interview for a film with a guy and I was convinced I got it, and then I didn't get it. So this was the point when I was like, right, I'm just gonna go and cry at Jimmy. And he was like, oh, I'm working at Shepperton at the moment, because he was doing some promo stuff for Ant-Man, I think. And so he was like, I'll just pop down to Studio Blah. And I went down to see him and he was like, oh, look, I'm sure we can sort something out. I've got this film coming up called World War Z. I might be able to get you on that. And I was like, sweet, that sounds good. And he was like, anytime you need to talk to me, here's my home number. I was like, Jesus Christ, this guy was just amazing. And sure enough, he came through and he was like, look, you're only going to be a trainee. You're going to be at the bottom again. So it was like back to the bottom of the ladder, you know, but it was a way up to a bigger ladder. So I took it and I've never looked back. So really desperate, horrible times that actually, if you stick it out and you keep going for it and you can just keep pushing on, you know, you can get there. And luckily for me, I did get there. So I'm forever grateful to Jimmy, but it was a tough time. I'm not gonna lie, it was a tough time, but you know, first world problems and all that.
Yeah, but actually, you know, so what you've mentioned, it reminds me of something I said to somebody else who was really frustrated in the past, like a sound recordist who was working locally in Nottingham but was wanting bigger gigs but just wasn't getting anywhere. And I went, you're going to have to go further afield, mate, and you're going to have to. And it's like, and I use this term which he quoted back to me years later. He's, you know, BAFTA award-winning sound recordist now, location sound recordist. And I said, you've got to go down. Sometimes you've got to go down to go up. And what I meant by that was sometimes you have to take a step down the career ladder, as you might see it in your own head, to be able to diversify and find your next break that's actually going to open doors for you further up and you know, not catapult your career, but move your career forwards and move it in a positive direction. And it sounds like that was a little bit of a case, and you know, you persevered, and it's you took what you saw as almost a backward step. You know, you're going to be a trainee again, but it's paid off, hasn't it? I mean, God, what film titles have you worked on? Can you name check some of the film titles you've worked on?
I did. I've got some posters in here. So I did Edge of Tomorrow with the same guys, The Gentleman, Aladdin, Tomb Raider. Yeah, couple.
Just a couple of features. Talk us through, what was that like? What's it like working on those kind of titles?
Yeah, it's a dream come true. I have to pinch myself every day. Like it's humbling, and it's exciting, and it's hard, and it's challenging, and it's fun. And sometimes you want to go home and not work 12-hour days, and sometimes you have a day just out recording, you know, splashing in the water, or it's just so everything I ever wanted to do. Like it's just it's the best thing ever. Yeah, I'm the luckiest bloke in the world.
And just on you know, we started off, what's it like to be on a downer and have to persevere through the hard times? You've been nominated for an award, haven't you? Have you been nominated for an award?
I got nominated for a Daytime Emmy Award. Yeah.
Brilliant. What was that like? What was it for?
It was for, we did a BBC adaptation of, oh my God, I've forgotten, this is so embarrassing. It was the Watership Down. It was the animation with the rabbits. And we did that, and we sort of squeezed it in between other things, which sounds really rude, but we were busy, and it was something that we did really quickly, and we did a great job, but it was sort of like, right, done and move on. And then to get this sort of call back that, you know, it had been nominated was a bit like, oh, that's cool. But we didn't go out to LA. We thought about it, but we thought, you know, we're up against a lot of other stuff, and we were busy, and we didn't win essentially, but it's nice to get a nod. Like I always say, awards are those things that you like, they're a bit silly and they're a bit ridiculous until you get nominated, and then you're like really interested.
Suddenly,
yeah.
They're a big deal. They're a big deal, right? I think it's nice to have that professional recognition. Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very many congratulations for the nomination, and long may they come. I you know, pay it forward. I'm sending those vibes out to you, Luke.
Thank you.
Most definitely. Coming back to perseverance and the downtimes, how have you dealt with rejection? To Gav,
rejection. I think rejection, you have to have it as your best friend. You have to have your best friend, because you're going to get rejection, and that's not just in work, and that's in life in general. I think rejection is one. If you got the fire in your belly, there's nothing that will stop you. You know what I mean? Like for me and my business, I think I wanted to be in the music business or industry and be geeky. I want to be the producer, the DJ producer, but I can still do that as a hobby. And I think when you try and take a hobby to a full-time job, you can get disillusioned, you get disheartened. Sort of, so you're really passionate about it, and making it a full-time job and income is one of the hardest jumps. So you got to have rejection as sort of your best friend, and then that little bit of luck will take it, and you'll run with it. You know? You really run with it.
Gets you over the hill.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's one. I just for me, if I'm that passionate about my business, I think people, when I go and do quotes or meet new clients, they can see that I'm that passionate about it, and it means a lot to me. But I'm offering a solution. I mean, my covers are not just not very good. It's the best material I can find. It's quilted material. It's like a coat. I feel like a Savile Row jacket for a. No, it's true though. It's true. It's like, you know, like the desk behind you and the monitors and the ATCs and the SS. You know, these are really high-end spec desks worth thousands and thousands. So for my company is to offer a solution protection for the studio investment. That's what it is. Because I think we can all agree that you'll start off with a cheap pair of monitors, and then you slowly move up when you get more confident and you start getting better brands, and you want to keep it in mint condition. So when you sell them, you can really sort of cut what you paid for them. But for me, rejection is my best friend. But the fact is, it's one of the ones that just makes you tougher. And
Yeah.
if you've got the fire in your belly and you're passionate about it, that's it. Your blinkers are on and you're going to get your goal. Doesn't matter if you're going to be 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. If you're passionate, you'll get it. But also speak to other people about it, because they've got a journey as well. They've had highs and lows, like Luke said.
Yeah.
It's highs and lows. But if
Yeah.
you know, if you commit, especially at Confetti, everyone's got a story to tell. So, you know, it's just like listen to them and go, I can relate to that. That happened to me. But like I say, if you've got the fire in your belly, there's nothing that can stop you.
Awesome advice. What about you, Gadil? How have you dealt with rejection, or how have you persevered through some down times?
Like they both mentioned, like you will always get rejection. Like I feel like whatever you do, there's always going to be some sort of rejection. For example, like the emails I wrote, for like only 2 of them got back to me. Like a lot of them didn't even reply. That kind of thing. Like you will always get rejection, but I think there's a balance between like rejection and just being like. I feel like you'll get rejection, but if you're confident about what you're doing and you kind of worked on your craft, like I've said, if you have that fire in your belly, but I feel like there's a balance between having that fire in your belly and just like actually doing your craft kind of well. Like sometimes you'll get rejected, but maybe you just need to work on your craft a little bit more as well. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, like there's a fine line between both of them. So I got rejected by libraries, by studios, but like I was quite confident that I'm good at what I do. Do you get what I mean? Like so I just kept on emailing other people, talking to other people, and like I just kept on doing it because like I knew like what I do is decent. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, keep on believing in your own worth and your own skills.
100%, or like your business or whatever. Like just keep on believing and just like send emails, do whatever like you need to do to get to where you want to be, kind of thing.
Really, really good advice. And I can see everybody else is nodding sagely. It's like, yeah, can relate. Totally relatable stuff. I can relate to that as well. I think we can all relate to that. We're just going to have a little look at some questions here. Going to questions a bit early, but we have had quite a few in. So thank you, students, for sending them in. Please keep them coming. Here's a question for Gadil. How did you get to do the Bond trailer?
I got it through. I'm like there's a networking thing again, man. Jamie Logan, she works from Sky. Met her through Checker. Like I said, like I did the whole Zoom thing, like talking to her on FaceTime.
Yeah.
Just building a relationship, and I feel like she just kind of trusted me to do it. To be honest, like it was it was a relationship thing, like kind of thing. Like there's so many other composers that could have done it, but because I built that relationship with her.
How long did you have to do it before you had to deliver it? Talk us through a little bit of detail on that.
So I actually sent them an album that I did over lockdown, like towards the end of my time at Confetti as well. I sent them an album to go onto their library, and they picked one of the tracks just placed it on a James Bond thing, on a James Bond trailer for Sky. So it wasn't like a custom brief where they're telling me they want this exactly like that kind of thing. But I just placed it. I sent an album to them of just like a load of trailer music, man. Like, yeah, and they always kind of get placements here and there, kind of thing. But that was like the big one that I got through Jamie, just through building up. I feel like it is through that relationship. I don't think I would have got that if I didn't build up.
So, you built up this relationship in lockdown. Has the pandemic presented any happy and unexpected positive results for either Luke or for Gav? Or I'll give that to you because obviously you've told us about the trailer. So what about Gav? Have you had any unexpected things happen as a result of the pandemic?
I think with the pandemic I think a lot more people had more time to look on their phones a bit more. I mean, look at Amazon. Amazon killed the game because obviously you couldn't leave the house, and then everyone was getting Amazon deliveries. So social media and Instagram and all that malarkey. For me, I had a lot more traffic come onto my website. I don't know why, but like I said to you off camera, I had so much traffic coming from America and Canada and Australia as well. It's like when I started the company, I started off with an idea that I wanted to sell to my friends, and then slowly I'm getting orders from around the world. And it really hit home that someone in Australia was looking at my website, bought off my shop, I picked it and packed it and then sent it. So with the pandemic, I had a lot more work, which was a blessing in disguise. It's one of the ones that I make. I'm trying to build up the brands of the speakers that I make, but a lot of people want custom jobs, so people want custom one-off. So with the pandemic, a lot of people, I think, just had more time, and I think it's just a bit like when you look on eBay and Amazon, you sort of just have a little. It's like basically window shopping. But I had so much more work come through the pandemic. It made me believe every year since I've started, it's just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where after 5 years, I'm totally committed to it. So I was working 2 jobs, and I've gone full time into this year. So the first quarter of this year has been the best so far. So going into the second one, it just snowballs, but it's one of the ones like it's took 5 years to get where I am. You know, after the first year, most businesses fail. You know, so after 5 years, I'm like, well, it's going the right way, and I'm getting big. I'm working with bigger companies, going to exhibitions. But just to jump on that, you got to keep active. You got to keep active. Like every day, you got to be active, even if it's Instagram or social media or whatever. But with the pandemic, it's been it's not a blessing in disguise, but I've had a lot more work.
Yeah.
Which is put back into the business, and it feeds itself. So
Yeah,
business-wise,
yeah.
every sale, every covers that I sell, it goes back into the business.
Sure.
And it expands and expands and expands.
It's brilliant. It's really going in the right direction. So it's almost like turbo boosted it for you, hasn't it, Gav?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I think it's just the pandemic. The downside to that, the logistics of selling around the world is a nightmare because the prices for everything has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
A lot of companies can't do that. I mean, I've got no major overheads. I haven't got a unit. I do everything online, so I haven't got a unit. I don't employ any people. So for me, it's a blessing. But you know, I want to build up to the point where I do have a unit.
Yes.
I do have a shop where people can come in
And stock.
and we can talk about your design. So everything's really online. But the cost of logistics of shipping is crazy, and I don't think it's going to die down. I think
I don't. Not with the current climate. No, I think you're right.
It's going to get worse. But it's one of the ones, you know, I can't put the covers more than the speakers they're buying it for. That just makes no sense.
Absolutely. Well, that sounds really good. That's positive out of the pandemic. Have you had any positives out of the pandemic, Luke?
Yeah, at first it was like everyone. It was a bit scary. I was at Twickenham and we were mixing Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, Hitman's 2, and it was like, oh, this pandemic thing was happening, and all of a sudden it was like, right, down tools, go home. Sure, we'll be back in a couple of weeks, and that never happened. We never went back. So it's the first movie that I've not followed all the way through. I just left it. And luckily for me, I had a job coming up, a TV show called The Wheel of Time. So I had this sort of like gap that was not there, but I was sat at home and I was doing odd bits and just keeping myself busy as you do. And this new show was coming closer and closer and closer. And eventually I just said goodbye to the Hitman's Bodyguard. But it did mean that on the new show, we were supposed to be in Soho. Like the thing about sound for film in the UK is it's either in Soho, it's at Twickenham, it's out at some of the biggest studios in the West. Like I live east, which is the worst place to live when it comes to like getting to work. Yeah. But so that was a bit of a nightmare. We're gonna have to go back into town. But all of a sudden they were like, you don't come into town. Can you all work from home? And that doesn't really work for us because we need to be, there's 3 of us in the team. We need to talk to each other all the time. We need to be playing stuff to each other because the dialogues sort of have an impact on what I do in the sound design and vice versa. So we needed to be together, and the production kindly said, well, do you want to set something up yourself? Do you want to be closer to home? And we said, yes. So the money that we're going to spend in Soho, they spent out east in Hackney, and we've built a studio that we work from now. And it's 4 minutes walk for me. So the pandemic sort of has been genius. Also had a baby at the same time. So it's just, again, I was pretty lucky. I wouldn't want to be going out to Twickenham every day The idea that I even did that now seems mental, but
you know, that happily for many, commuting has become a thing of the past. It makes you realise how much time, not necessarily wasted time, because you can do quite a lot on a commute. But I know, having worked and lived in London, I lived in West London, and you know, occasionally I'd get a job where I needed to go straight across town, and it takes 2 hours. It doesn't. So you can, and you think about, you know, driving up and down the M1 from London to Nottingham now, that takes about 2.5 hours. It's absolutely crazy, the amount of time you spend.
I was doing
traveling.
2 hours a day for like 2 years. And one day I calculated that, and it was like a month
of your
the year I'm just sat on a train. And, like, it's not like I can like design sounds on a train. I tried. God, Lord knows I tried. I had like recorders. I was trying to be productive, but in the end, it was just a case of like a time to just turn my ears off. You know, you blast your ears all day long. I had 2 hours where I could just do nothing, which was amazing. So you do make the most of it, but that's a long time to be sat on a train.
I know. I used to read books if I could, but it's often on a packed commuter train. You can't. It's just not pleasant. I'm really pleased. So that's really forced a studio to be built 4 minutes from home. What a wonderful thing. Congratulations on the baby as well.
Thank you.
Congratulations on losing your commute from your working day.
I feel like that's more big than having a baby.
No, I can't. Yeah, well, I couldn't possibly say, but yes. No, it's a does your head in commuting. It does mine anyway. Okay, so some happy coincidences and positive fallout from the pandemic. I'm going to come to some questions again now, because we've got lots coming in now. This is from Ethan Stewart. What was the point in your course where you realised what your career path was, and what did you do in times where you struggled with momentum? So this is back in confetti time. What were the turning points in your course where you're like, light bulb moment? And what were the times like when you struggled with momentum? I'll ask Adil first.
What was the point in the course? I feel like mostly all throughout, you know, if I'm being honest. When I first came in, but with me, I kind of changed what I wanted to do over time, like after I learned stuff. So first I was like, wanted to do production, then I was like, wanted to do session music. Then we did the sound to film module, and then I got into that kind of thing. I feel like there's different points, and like even now, there's not just one thing that I do. Because I freelance, I do like session music, I do like film music for film and TV. I do a bit of teaching as well. I wouldn't say there was a specific point, you know, in my career. Like there was different, like a lot of different points where I thought, like, this is interesting, let me research it like a bit more and see if it's for me as well. But yeah. I feel like from the get-go, to be honest, like I wanted to do just session music, to be honest. Yeah. Cool,
thank you. Gav, what about you? What was the light bulb moment, and what about keeping up momentum during your studying time?
Yeah, I think the light bulb moment is when I really, really pushed to get a triple distinction, and I got Student of the Year, actually won it. And it was just one of them ones. It's like I said to you earlier, when I walked out on the stage at De Montfort with my degree, it's that sort of moment of like, yeah, man, you know, if I really push and focus, I can do it. And like being a mature student, it meant more to me. I'm not saying that the people that leave school, they haven't got the same drive, but I think I had more drive, and I think it was sort of like, it meant a lot to me, and I absorbed it as much as I should have done when I was 15, 16 at normal school. So I think winning that was like a major confidence and boost, and I really took it serious then. And then working with other people. I mean, other people are very good at their own job, so you could put loads of caps on and try and do everything, right? But you got to sort of think, I'm really good at this and I'm pretty poor at that. So you work with people that can help you out, and you can help them out. And I think the working with other people, like networking, like we said earlier, networking was the major one. And I don't know. I mean, I was commuting from Birmingham to Nottingham, daily, which is not that bad. You know, it's not that bad. It's only an hour on the train. And I just had the energy, and I came home one day, and I think I did like a 12-hour day, and I came back and I did another 3, 4 on the laptop, and I thought, if I did a 12-hour day at my old job, I was doing civil engineering, I'd be too tired, but I had the passion, and it pushed me on. So 12-hour days in something that you love is better than 12-hour days in something that you don't love. So you got to sort of embrace it and go, right, I'm just going to grab it and run with it.
Yeah, that's amazing advice. What about you, Luke? What was a light bulb moment for you at Confetti?
As I said, I think it was when we did the sound for film, or I think they called sound for moving image or something, and we were given this scene from Star Wars, and there was nothing. We had to build it all up, and that's where I learned about Foley, and that was just mental, that someone would replace footsteps and feet and cloth and kisses, and all the physicality got done by these weirdos in a little studio with like an orange and some coconuts. Like, I just thought that's not real. I want to do that, and I fell in love with Foley as a result. I fell in love with Foley as a result, and so I thought, yeah, this is me. I'm going to be doing sound for film, and so yeah, that was my light bulb moment.
Sorry, I think the postman might have just arrived at Gav's. Amazon delivery or something or other's going on. Foley is amazing, actually. It's Foley artists are next level, crazy, and very, very talented at what they do. Really, really good. Were there any times when you struggled with momentum at Confetti, do you think?
I didn't struggle with momentum. Just like Gav was saying, like I was so hungry, like I really wanted it, and it was made so clear that you really need to go beyond what happens in this time here and those allocated hours that you've got. You've got to stay late, you've got to get in the studio, you've got to book time, you've got to be doing stuff. And that hunger kept me going. So I'd say, to answer your question, sorry, did I just deviate? What was the original question?
What did you say? What did I just say?
Who am I?
How do you keep? Were there any downtimes where you lost your momentum?
Oh no! So I just lost my momentum in the answer. But no, there was full momentum all the time. But good. I would say that as for downtimes, we talked about some lulls that you have, and you're not getting through, and no one's listening to you, and you can't seem to break that barrier. Like, I think there's something to be said for just embracing that as well. Like, feel shit, feel bad, feel like this isn't working. Like, embrace that. Don't force yourself to not feel bad about it. Like, take it in, absorb it, and use it. It's fire. It's which is similar to what Gav said before. Like, use it as fire. It's fuel to push you on, but don't ignore it. Like, try and embrace it and channel it, I'd say.
Very, very good advice. Thank you very much. I want to talk a little bit, ties in with a question from Raja, who asks, when networking, what sorts of things do you actually say or do?
Yeah.
Who wants to take that?
I'll have that.
Gav will have that.
I'll have that first, right? So
go on then.
When you network, right? Say if you go into an exhibition or whatever, is do research of the stands or the people that are going to be there, right? When you go and speak to people, don't constantly just talk about yourself. It's like, I'm doing this and I'm doing that and doing that. It's a conversation. It's a call and send. It's like, oh, how was you just released a new speaker, and then you get a nice conversation. Don't go in and just say, I am you know what I mean? Like, this is what I do, because some people are, oh, you just talk about yourself. So just relax and just talk, and just think like you're just holding a normal conversation. Like I say, everyone's got a story, and just chit chat like you do with your normal friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the best thing about it, give a business card. Business card is the first point. Your own business card. If you swap business cards, you've got emails, and then you just say, thanks for the chat. Hope we work soon. Done. That's it.
Well, I've got to say, you just said it was really interesting. Don't talk about yourself in networking all the time. It shouldn't be all about the self pitch.
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough to work with a lot of different people over the years, and there's one independent filmmaker that springs to mind when you say that. And one of my colleagues at the time went, "This individual's one of the best networkers because actually." she says very little about herself, yet she's able to extract all the information she needs from that person and lets them do all the talking, volunteer all the information, and then is got. And that's exactly, knowledge is power. Knowledge will help you build your intelligence about your next steps. And it just came into my head when you were talking about that, Gav. What other hints and tips we got for networking? What do you do? What do you say? Who else would like to jump in?
I would say that people fundamentally, everybody is slightly vain and they want to talk about themselves. That is a thing, and you can't ignore that. And I'd say just let people talk about themselves. Like, it plays into what you both just said. Ask them a few questions. Don't make it about you. Just and do a bit of research, as Gav says. If you can say, "Oh, I love that film that you did, and I love that thing that you did." "Oh yeah, thanks, cheers. How did you do this? How did you do that?" Just let them, as you say, offload that information. And it's all about the follow-up as well, which, again, I'm just saying what Gav said, but you need to just be like, very gently, "Hey, great to chat. Let me know if you're free for a coffee," or whatever. Also, people love beer. Like, if you can drink around them, that helps. Take them for a pint. Like, I used to work with a guy at Shepperton Studio that said he got all of his network was done through smoking. Like, and I'm not advocating smoking. Like, I've never smoked, but he got all his chats outside. He got to talk to all the people outside, and it's that your work hat's not on. It's not this weird stale, "Who are you? What do you do?
It's
Can I have a job?"
informal, isn't it?
And you've got to keep it chill, and you've got to be like, if it doesn't work first time round, then that's fine. Like, don't push it, because no one wants the pushy thing. Also, I will say, nobody wants to hear that you've got a degree in music technology or that you're a sound designer. Don't just say, if they ask you, "Oh, have you studied?" Go, "Yeah, I've done this and I've done that." But they don't want you to go, "Oh, I'm a sound designer. I'm a composer. I'm a music editor. Because at that stage you're not, like, and that really gets people's goats, because they've done 10 to 15 years to be in a position where they can listen to what you have to say, and they will listen. But as we said before, you're going to be making tea, you're going to be making coffee, and knowing how to use Logic is something that they care about at that point. I would say, like, slowly release that information.
Yes,
maybe.
What a slow burn. And we're not advocating drinking and smoking to network, by the way.
Definitely not.
Students,
but
we're not doing that. But find that informal situation, I think, is what we're actually saying, isn't it, here?
Yeah.
Get them to talk about themselves. Don't learn to smoke. That is not a strategy. I will start smoking. I will start drinking heavily. Gadil, have you got anything you'd like to add?
I feel like they've said most things.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
To build a relationship, like, that's such a big thing. Like, there could be so many people that do what you do, but, like, if you're friends with them, or, like, you've built a relationship with them, they will come back to you, kind of thing. Like,
absolutely, it's that personal interaction, isn't it? Finding something that is personal. I just want to. We've got loads of really nice questions coming in, and I'm going to come to them. But I just want to ask each of you where you find work. Where you find work. Is it on LinkedIn, online jobs? Is it through, we've talked a lot now about informal networking and more formal networking, what to do. Where do you find your work? Who wants to take that first?
I could. Oh, go on.
Go on there. Go on, you first.
I was just gonna say, like, ours is quite complicated, sort of hierarchical system of, like, how a film is built up, like director, editor, post-production supervisor. The post-production supervisor will be this person that looks after all the post-production. So they'll make sure that they can get a VFX editor, a VFX team, a sound team, an editorial team. So you need to be in bed with those people, basically. But ultimately, they work with a sound supervisor. So for me, then that sound supervisor will have a team of, say, 6 people that they work with all the time. So you need to be friendly with the sound supervisor, because they're the ones that are getting offered the jobs, basically. And there's so much work out at the moment that you can get many sound supervisors calling you up going, "Oh, I need you for 3 weeks," or "I need you for 2 weeks." It used to be a lot more difficult. It used to be less cross-pollination. It used to be like you stayed in your team and your crew, and that was it. You guys, like, stayed as a crew forever. And there was like it was like Anchorman, rival crews. Killed a man with a trident. It's all that sort of stuff. But now it's a bit more like there's so much work, we've all got to do it. So it's a really complicated structure that I can't really explain, and it's so sort of specific to film.
Yeah.
But essentially, you need to get in with a team, and then that team will naturally get hired because of the work that they've done.
How do you get in with that team? Sorry, I get in, but how? How do you get in with a team?
Yeah, well, that was the point when I was at Shepperton listening to Pocahontas in Japanese 3 times a day,
okay.
and I went to the sound supervisor and said I can't do this anymore, and he was kind enough to let me in. So it's perseverance. It's talking to sound supervisors, talking to post-production supervisors, and getting in there that way.
Informal networking, but find your film family. You found your work family, basically, didn't you?
Exactly that.
Yeah. What about you, Gav?
For my business, it comes off my website, really.
Yeah.
I've got a contact form that people can get in touch, and then it comes to me, and I have a one-to-one. I ask them what speakers they got, and then we have a consultation. I do like a questionnaire of like, do you have acoustics treatment in your room? Do you have the iOS acoustic stands? It's more of a one-on-one. But for me, social media, Instagram is number one, and LinkedIn as well. But all I think everybody knows that who's you know, we're all sort of geeky in technology in our own way. Work will come, and word of mouth is the best. So at the very start of the company, I went to my local music place that do high-end keyboards, monitors, and it's called Giraffe Audio in Birmingham. And the amount of people that go there just to hang out and they see my covers, and I get work off that. And that was just like, just go and say hello, introduce myself, got a business idea. And the amount of work from that is you can't beat it. It didn't cost me anything. I just went in every Christmas, dropping my card off, go and see them, and they do shows as well. So they do like the Quested monitor. They're releasing some new speakers, and they go around loads of like SX Pro, KMR, all these companies around the UK. I just went and met them. It didn't cost me anything. So, you know, just like I say, being active, being places. You don't have to do it constantly, but you got to be shown to be seen. You know, so but the Instagram world for me is pictures. It's perfect. I mean, Facebook, whatever, Twitter, whatever, but Facebook, Instagram is visualised. They see studios, they see a tag, stuff like that, and they follow the link, so you go down the rabbit hole. So that for me, it's the social media and my website as well. It's first point of contact.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great advice. And it sounds like you've been slow burning your business now for, 5 years?
Yeah,
but it's a slow burn in lots of different areas, isn't it? In terms of your marketing, where you're getting new business, etc.
Yeah. I mean, like the first year, I didn't start the company. I did a full year of research. So I researched everything, like even down to the license of my covers. So all my covers are licensed to me. Just in case I put it into the world and the big boys took over and patent and license. So I've just sort of cut my nose off a little bit, you know. And the first year was important because I've done the prep. So, you know, when you build a house, you do the foundations of the house. If you don't do the foundation of the house will crash. So for me, the first year was foundations of the house, and then we could start putting the windows up, we could start putting the dirt and put the tiles on and that. So it took time. But, you know, it's not there yet. You know, after we finish today, I've got a couple of meetings, got to send some emails. It doesn't stop. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's a constant. Yeah. Good deal. What about you? Where do you find work?
I kind of have to so for me, I like how Gav just said, it's a bit of a slow burner. Just me having to doing that placement for James Bond, that kind of helped me just open a lot of other doors. And I feel like it is a slow burner. You have to start slow, maybe get one placement, just build your portfolio, and over time, people will actually take you serious and come to you.
So you say you build your portfolio. Do you are you constantly updating your website? Because I know you've got a website, haven't you? Gad's Music, is it?
Yeah.
How often do you update that?
Every time something new comes out, I guess.
Right. Okay. And so,
I've got new pictures or whatever.
And do you curate that content?
Sorry?
Do you curate? Do you kind of pick and choose what you put up on your website to demonstrate the breadth of your work?
100%. Yeah. 100%. Even just Instagram as well as social media. That's a big thing. A lot of people DM me from just socials. So yeah.
Okay, cool. That's lovely. Thank you. I'm going to go to some questions now. I've got questions for individual guests today, but I just want to try and find one that's to all of the guests. This is from Gabe, did you feel you wanted to try one or more different things on your course? How did you find out about possible jobs after your course? Who'd like to take that first?
I don't know. I don't know about jobs. I mean, when I was at Confetti, I really wanted to work at Confetti. That was my sort of like, I really want to be a teacher. I never thought I would ever dream that about being a teacher, but I was that passionate. And I felt like if I was constantly in it, it would help my own production and working with the younger generation that are really good MCs, good songwriters and all that. It's sort of like, it involved in itself really. But Confetti for me was like, when I walked through, I knew straight away, I was like, I want to stay here. And that's why I did the whole 5 years. Even in the last year with the degree, I didn't really go over to Montfort because everything that I needed was at Confetti. You know, I went over to when I got me award and all that, but I felt like Confetti had it all. I didn't need to go anywhere else.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to respond to that question? Again, I'll read it because it's quite a long one.
Yeah.
Did you feel you wanted to try one or more different things on your course? How did you find out about possible jobs after your course?
I feel like I definitely tried one or two different things. And it's kind of a thing where I feel like in Confetti, they show you a broad range of things.
Yeah.
It's kind of up to you to kind of, because there is so many students, it's hard to focus on one thing, but that they'll introduce you to a lot of things, and it's up to you to kind of go away and just research a bit more about it and see like who's working in that industry, who can you like get some more information off. So like I did a lot of things, man, at that time.
Luke, what about you? Have you got anything you'd like to add?
Totally agree. I just say the same thing, really. Like the course is structured in a way it was then, that it was like, these are the jobs in the creative industry in audio. And it was like, here's a little snippet of bits. And maybe I wish there was more sound for film. It was a tiny 1 week thing, but it was enough to spark my imagination and keep me going down that rabbit hole. But even when I knew I wanted to go down that rabbit hole, we were doing live music. We were doing like song arrangement, we were recording, we were doing all kinds of different things I was still interested in, but I knew then that was where I wanted to go. So it was just amazing to get that full spectrum of jobs, like sat down in front of you, even to a point where like you were doing acoustics, and like I couldn't think of anything more boring than acoustics, but it was really essential. Like I still use the stuff I learned then, and I'm not the smartest bloke, maths isn't my forte, but I still know now if I'm getting the standing wave, and so it's such a good, I would say, like, embrace all of them, and just also don't feel bad if like you get to the end of it and you still don't know what you want to do. Like I think Gav talked about it before, your path might just find itself, one opportunity leads to another, and before you know it, you're doing it. And also, if you're doing that for a while, you can also presto changeo and go and do something else as well. Like it's going to teach you enough stuff that those sort of foundation skills in audio should be transferable across different jobs. Yeah,
definitely.
I've got a question specifically for you, Luke, seeing as you've just been talking. I'm going to ask you another question. How did you learn sound design, and what jobs other than yours are there for sound designers?
Good question. So sound design was sort of like, it was sort of created as a job by, I think it was like the guys out at Skywalker in LA, that basically, it used to be effects editors. You'd come onto a show and you'd do the effects. That might be the doors or the cars. But as things evolve and you have things like T-Rexes and monsters and spaceships and things that don't really exist in the real world, the sounds need to be designed for those things. And sound design means different things to different people. Some people think just taking the sounds and putting it on the screen is still designing the sound, because there's many layers that go into that car crash, and there's many layers that went into that explosion. But so it's quite a complicated, ambiguous title. But in film, essentially, you start off as an effects editor usually, and you do the effects because that's your bread and butter. That's the stuff that's really important, that needs to happen in every show. And as you get better at that and you get more confident and you learn more tricks and you can do more complicated stuff, you fall into the design world. And then eventually you should get credited for being the sound designer. And then from there on, you are the sound designer. But sometimes I get asked to do a job where I'm not the sound designer. I just do the effects, and that's fine too. Like it's again, it's almost hierarchical, but at the same time, it's not something to be too precious about. So I would say that's the first part of the question. The second part was the usual sort. It might be helpful if I tell you the way in. Like on a big show, you might have, say, 8 people. You have the sound supervisor, sound designer, dialogue editor, ADR editor, effects editor, Foley editor, maybe 2 assistants and a runner. Wow. So that's the core crew, and obviously the runners just making sure everyone's got what they need, and then the assistants are and this is the path in to become a runner, then an assistant. You know, they're constantly cutting the picture, they're constantly rearranging it, and obviously our sound needs to match that. So that's where conforming comes in, and assistants are basically doing that. They're matching what happened in the edit to what's happened in our edit to make sure that we're all singing from the same hymn sheet. But once that stuff's done, maybe there's time to track lay that explosion, or maybe there's time to do that horse chase. And so these young people hopefully are chomping at the bit to do bits outside of what their remit is. And that plays back to what I was saying before about Confetti. There's your job, and then there's everything else. Yeah. It's doing that bit extra. It's like, I used to just, like on Edge of Tomorrow, I was just making tea and doing conforming, but I would just stay at night and track layer sequence and take some bits and do stuff and play it to the honcho in the morning. And people are like, that's amazing, that's great. And now he knows, Luke's capable of doing stuff. So something comes in, it's quite rapid. They've changed the idea for this whole scene. We've got like 10 minutes to get it done. Everybody's at it, including me. And so you're then at the table having a go, and that's the way in. It's like saying, as we were saying a bit earlier, you've got to be trusted to do the small stuff. Yeah, but you're still doing other bits in the background that there will be a time when you get to shine, won't there? Absolutely. There will be a point, your moment where you go, yeah, this is what I've done. Yeah, what do you reckon? Yeah, absolutely. And it's about doing that extra stuff, and people will notice. That's great. I've got a couple of questions. I'm going to ask. They've been sent for specific guests, but I'm going to ask all of you. Do you update your own websites? That's a question from Gabe.
I update my own website.
You update your own, Gadil, yeah?
Yeah, 100%. I just feel like for me, it's a lot easier. Yeah? Yeah.
No one else does it for you. What about you, Gav?
Yeah, I built the website myself by a website called Page Cloud, so it's like a drag and drop. Right. So everything, like even down to like putting a Christmas tree on at Christmas time and stuff like that, it shows that it's an active website. Love that. When I go on websites and I see at the bottom and it's not been updated for years, it shows that the website's not true. So it could be like old prices, could be old things like that, but I constantly do it. And I can do it on my phone as well. So it's not even like I've got to have my laptop with me. So you've got... And my shop as well, my which I sell the products, or update constantly and let people know when they're going to be released, what fleece colours you can have. So it just shows you that it's an active website. You're an active business.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you are in control. What about you, Luke? Because you've got a website, but it's a collective, isn't it? Yes.
So that's another thing that happened in the lockdown. Basically, in those times of being bored, we were like, individually, we've got great CVs, but collectively, our CVs are just insane. The guys that I work with have done Mission Impossibles and all kinds of crazy stuff. So we were like, why don't we just team up? So we got a web developer to build the site, and we built a brand and all that sort of stuff. And we made it so that it was easily updatable. And he was a great web developer. So I can just drag and drop a poster on once I've done a new film, and it just refreshes and it's done. And it's all done through Webflow. I think that's not really my thing. And we were honest and said, look, we're not web people and we're busy people. So we just need to be able to go gink, done. And he figured that out. So we were lucky that we found a good guy and that seems to be working for us.
So you sourced a web designer to do the initial build, but you made sure that you future-proofed it, so you were able to get into the back end and do the jiggery pokery to keep it current, right? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Super. So it was just a one-off cost, I'm assuming, and then then you're free to go, kind of thing. Good to go, rather. I've got another question which has been asked to two separate guests, but I'm going to ask it to all of you. What's coming up next for you? What's your next projects? What's 2022 looking like for the rest of the year? So I'll ask Adil first.
Festivals, playing festivals, writing some more albums for like libraries. I want to travel, man. Like, do you know what I mean? I want to do like the last 2 years. Like, I've missed festivals just because of lockdown. So like, yeah, I want to do that again. So like mainly session music. Like I'm looking forward to a lot of that over summer. Like doing big shows. As well like just in the library world, writing more albums, getting more experience. Working with different companies as well. Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are craving festivals now, aren't they, after a long period away from them. What about you, Gav? What's our covers looking like for 2022?
I've got a couple of things I can't really chat about it because it's quite confidential, but it's really, I would say this year's my 5th year birthday, so we're going to release some limited edition Adam A77X's, which is the first cover that I made for my own, so I thought it'd be quite nice to make some limited edition one-off. So we're going to make 5 pairs and 5 pairs only, and then we're going to donate some of the money to a charity. So that, some new T-shirts, some new merch, and slowly build up relationships. But I want to go into the hi-fi world, which is a lot of people who have got hi-fi floor standing speakers. A lot of people get in touch saying, the dog's tail keeps whacking the dome and put a cover on. I know it's weird, but another thing as well, it's like my friend's got my friend's got a small child. He's got some floor standing speakers, and out of nowhere he's playing it. I'm like, what's that rattle? And his kids put Lego in the port, right? So, you know what I mean? Like it's one of the ones. Like he said, can you make me some covers? So he'll stop putting Lego in the port because obviously he resonates. So when he's playing something, he's got Lego vibrating in his speaker, and he's like,
oh man.
So moving into the hi-fi world is a big plus, but also I'm working very closely with Stephen Slate in America, who do the Slate plugins and the Raven stuff like that. So we've got some good things going off next year. But like I say, it's one of the ones, like, it's always about making moves. Like I'm constantly making moves, like guitar amps and microphone covers, which is another one. So hopefully, when the products are out, I can drop some at Confetti and see how you get on with them.
Absolutely, we'd love to hear more and see more when you're up and running with that. Thank you. Definitely. Sounds good. Really exciting. Luke, the question was asked of you. What projects are coming up for you?
I've got like a really boring answer and then a not so boring answer. And like in film, the moment you turn up, you have to sign an NDA.
Yeah.
So if you're rumoured to do anything, you literally can't tell anybody. But I'm on a show at the moment called The Man That Fell to Earth, which was an adaptation of a David Bowie film from the 60s.
Yeah.
And we're halfway through doing that. It's 10 eps. I think it's going to be on Sky, and it's just like properly amazing. That's kind of all I can say. But the other 2 things after that, I've got 2 big Disney films coming up, but I can't talk about what they are.
Oh, I love that. He taunts us, tantalises us with little nuggets, and then says, no more. Well, and that is fairly typical with creative industries. A lot of projects, particularly in games, I find, but actually in film and television as well. Confidentiality agreements and NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, are so commonplace now because, this information is commercially confidential, and it's really, there's a lot of money to be made or lost when ideas get out. So, it comes with the territory, I'm afraid. But yes, it sounds really exciting for all 3 of you. So thank you for that. I've got one final question before we wrap up because we're near the end of this session now. And it's that question that we always ask. If you could rewind yourself back to when you were a Confetti student, what one piece of advice would you give Confetti students now today? And I'll ask that question to Gadil first.
I don't think I have to rewind too far back. Like I was only there last year.
Oh, I know. I know.
But yeah, I'd say like just think outside the box. Like when I came, it was like just I wanted to do performance and stuff, and that's it. Like I did a performance degree. Like I just wanted to do stages. Like I still want to do that now, obviously, but like there's so many other like avenues you can go into. Like I'm doing like trailer music now. Like I didn't know about this at all. Do you get what I mean? Or like I don't know, like Foley or sound design. Like people don't really think about stuff like that. Playback tech, like for shows and stuff, or like there's so many things you can go into. It's not just like you're gonna be a mixing engineer or like just obviously that's all good, but like there's a lot of other things that might be more suited to you. So yeah, that's what I found as well. And just make sure you're friendly and just professional to everyone. Like
Absolutely.
That goes such a long way. Like for example, Tom, like I didn't actually have a chat with him, but I feel like he just heard like word of mouth about me. And yeah, man, just make sure you're friendly and just always have like a good image, if that makes sense. Like
present yourself well. Present yourself positively, yeah? Lovely. Okay, Gav, best bit of advice. Single piece of advice.
Yeah. Rule number one: don't panic, man. You know, it's not going to come to. It's not going to come to you straight away. You know what I mean? It's imagine like you're on a big roundabout and you've got loads of junction on this thing. Like I think Luke said it. I did some sound designing for Macbeth. Never dreamt I did it, but I loved it. And I'm like, I did that on my laptop, on my settee, and now it's in the Nottingham Theatre. Blew my mind. But the fact is, I went on this roundabout, and every junction I went off, I thought it's something more that can add to the overall picture. So number one, don't panic. Try and enjoy it. Number two, be happy. And number three, you're in the best place to do it. I'm not don't want to just say confetti, but you got everything that you need, and you got the right people, the right attitude. And the fact is, if they're there, you're on a wavelength of being geeky, but also community. But you are though, aren't you? If you've took the steps to go to Confetti or any music studio or university like that, you must have something in common. Do you know what I mean? You must have some sort of artistic. So everyone's got their own little special way. So just network with people.
Yeah,
you're going to be friends with. It's just like school. It's just exactly just like school, but this is different because you're passionate about it. You know, you're something that you're an artist in your own right. You know, so
awesome.
Don't panic and enjoy it.
Don't panic, enjoy it. Brilliant.
Don't panic, enjoy it.
That is great advice.
Luke,
last
but not least, Luke.
I would say exactly what these two boys have said is exactly right. I think you've got to take each opportunity, and if you, like I said before, I'm probably repeating myself, so forgive me, but if you think you want to be a mix engineer, don't just like shut off to everything else, because there's a rabbit hole that you could fall down that might change your life. Yeah. And I'd say be open to all of it. Just suck it up and get on with it, even if it's acoustics, because it could really help you at some point. And also don't be put off if you don't like acoustics, or if you're not that, technically minded. Like gear used to scare me, like mixing desks used to scare me. I think it still does a little bit, but you realize that you don't have to just pigeonhole yourself into one bit. You don't have to know all of it. You can just be the creative bloke that comes up with ideas. You can just be the person that really knows how the gear works. You can just be the person that can hold the boom really straight. You can be that as well. So don't beat yourself up. And beyond that, there's so much opportunity for cross-pollination in Confetti now. Talk to the people on the game side. Talk to the people on the picture side. Talk to everybody, all of them. Get in bed with them a bit and just see what's going on, because there might be an opportunity for you to put some sound to a game and da-da-da-da. You probably already do that already, but that's something that I would say to myself or to you guys.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All brilliant pieces of advice from you all. We've run out of time, I'm afraid. Thank you for all your questions today, students. You've asked some good ones, and hopefully you've received some really great responses. I'd just like to, obviously, if we were in a room with an audience, we'd be doing a clap now. But I'd just like to say to each and every one of you, thank you for being with us today. To Gadil, to Gav, to Luke, you've been amazing. Wishing you all the best of luck for 2022 and beyond. If you could just stay on the line for now, that would be great. Enjoy the rest of your industry week. I hope you've enjoyed this session. And we'll just say goodbye now. Thank you. Goodbye.